This is an open letter to our friends, our friends at NPR. Here's the thing, folks. If the people of a country like, let's say, Argentina, are uninformed, it's not really, it's inconsequential. If the people of, let's say, a country like Sweden or Mali or Nigeria or Zimbabwe or people of Bangladesh are uninformed, it really doesn't matter. It's inconsequential. It's if they're uninformed, their system is not in a position, their government, their system, the public opinion of those areas doesn't matter, because their system is not in such a position to affect the rest of the world or population of the rest of the world to any degree. There is not, Sweden doesn't have an empire to make decisions that would affect millions and millions and millions of people's life on the other side of the planet. The thing is, my friends at the NPR, your population, because it's the population of an empire, at the heart of an empire, if the American population are uninformed, forget about misinformation. That's another story. My point here is information. If your population are uninformed, then the public opinion is not formed well. It's not based on legitimate information. So the decisions that the people who run the empire make that affects millions and millions of people across the planet, on the other side of the planet, they can, make wrong decisions, and since the public are not well informed, there is no pushback from the American public themselves in order to correct certain bad decisions that the managers make. I give you an example. Vietnam War. It was a bad decision to make. It was a bad decision. There's no reason for Uncle Sam to continue the colonial war that the French had started way back when. There was no reason for that. And until the independent journalists stepped in and informed the public, American public, of the atrocities that is taking place on the other side of the planet in their name, until that point, everything was fine. The people in charge were just, taking orders, following orders, and the really people in charge were, just happy, continuing with the situation, with the hurtful situation on the other side of the planet, just because their own children were not involved. You see, so who cares? Millions and millions of people over there suffer and die and whatever. So my point is this, that the media, which is the eyes and the ears of the public, are the media. And forget about for-profit media, because they have hand in hand with the corporations and the lobbies. So you can't expect much from them, for-profit media. Other media, such as NPR and PBS, which are not for-profit, which are specifically not for-profit, have the big burden of informing the American public, being the eyes and the ears of the American public in the four corners of the world. Here's the things, folks. Again, I repeat this. Swedish public media, or Zimbabwe's or Mozambique's public media doesn't really have to, inform the people of Zimbabwe from four corners of the world, because it really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the public opinion in Zimbabwe, one way or the other, is not going to affect millions and millions of lives on the other side of the planet. But public opinion in the United States, because United States managers are so powerful militarily and economically, because the decisions they make, the managers, Uncle Sam's managers, because the decisions they make affects millions and millions and millions of people on the other side of the planet, therefore the public opinion in the United States is very important. And you guys are supposed to be the eyes and ears of the public in the United States. And your main job must be to inform the public in the United States to inform them about the four corners of the planet. So the public opinion that is formed is so well informed and so well rounded that the public will not stand for any bad decisions by the managers of Uncle Sam. The public would not stand for any bad decisions by the managers of Uncle Sam. So, and the only way to do that is if you literally start really reporting from the four corners of the world. And that only happens if you have at least one well-run, well-staffed office in every capital city of the world. That must be the goal. PBS and NPR together, these organizations that are not for profit, they together should be running well-staffed offices in every capital city on every country in this planet, to be the eyes and ears of 300 million population of the United States, 300 some million population of the United States. So the public opinion in the United States is so well informed and so well rounded that bad managers cannot make bad decisions. The public would not stand for it. So when the public eventually learned of what's going on in Vietnam, that is, it's a continuous war of, no winners and no losers, and it's just suffering and suffering and suffering. Eventually, public opinion forced the managers to, abandon suffering. So my point is this. But when you look at it, you see that Uncle Sam's managers are paying for 800 military bases around the globe. American military bases around the globe, 800. There are almost 200 countries on this planet, a little less than 200 countries. So 800 military bases, 200 countries, that's 4 military bases per country on planet Earth that Uncle Sam owns. 4 military bases per country. So basically Uncle Sam can literally have 4 military bases in every country on this planet, or equivalent to. Logic would suggest that at least Uncle Sam's manager would allow NPR to have 200, not 4 news offices, but at least 1 news office per country on this planet that NPR should have. Because NPR is not Zimbabwe's, broadcasting corporation. What people of Zimbabwe know or don't know what is happening across the planet doesn't really matter. But what the public opinion in the United States is, how well informed the public are in the United States about what is happening across the planet, that really matters. Because this public opinion really can affect the decisions that the managers of Uncle Sam make, which actually affects people on other side of the planet. So as simple as that, I think that you're just not you're not financed well. How is it that, and I keep remembering the phrase that says, is a very, cowboy phrase that says, shoot and ask questions later. Shoot first and ask questions later. This seems to be the, general policy. We have 800 military bases because our idea is to shoot first, but we don't, really need any NPR newsrooms across the planet because, we ask questions later, and maybe not at all. Maybe we don't need to ask any questions. We just shoot. And I'm sorry, but I think the main reason that the suffering has increased, these continuous wars and these new wars are taking place, is because people are not well informed. And even when, and I think, if these newsrooms do take place and these newsrooms are available, first of all, I think any logical state, any state that is run by logic, should recognize that if we have money for 4 military bases for every country on this planet, we have enough money to have at least one well-established, well-run, well-staffed newsroom that is not for profit, that is part of, quasi, state-owned news organization, state-funded news organization, such as NPR, or, half state-funded, or, not state-run, but at least, state-funded, half state-funded, somewhat state-funded, such as like the BBC. But the point is, and Deutsche Welle or RT, but the point is this, that none of these other ones have that much power. None of these other countries that have organizations such as NPR and PBS in their own land, they don't have, their government doesn't have that much power to affect lives on the other side of the planet. But Uncle Sam does. Uncle Sam's managers have that kind of power to affect lives on the other side of the planet. But how come is it that, the eyes and ears of the people, the NPR and the PBS of this world, are not funded well enough to have a well-staffed news office in every capital city of every country in this world? Because you look at it this way, you see that, well, the educational system is not good. That is, K-12, primary till 12th grade, the regular education that is mandatory, all kids get. That's not good. A lot of people come out of school not well versed in history or geography or politics or human sciences. So that's the educational system. Then you have the media, which, the main media that has to inform people, that is you guys, the NPR and the PBS of this world, who are actually are fair and balanced, more or less, because they're not at least getting paid by the lobbyists or corporations. Again, you guys are not funded well enough. Nobody cares, so you don't have access. You're not in a position to inform the American public well. So they don't get a good education, they don't know much about history and geography and political sciences, and then you don't inform them of history and geography and political sciences, and you don't have offices in the four corners of the planet in every capital city to give them up-to-date information. And of course, so, Mr. George W. Bush comes to office and he says, they hate us, they hate our freedom, they hate us for our freedom. And the public buys it because, the public is not well informed. At the same time that everybody across the planet loves Americans, some demagogue comes in and says, no, they hate us. I mean, if NPR would have done its job, Americans would have recognized that everybody across this planet loves Americans. That's why Americans can sell so much music and so much movies across the planet. Because so much music and movies and TV series and all these that the United States produces is sold across the planet. And everybody gobbles that up. Because everybody loves Americans. From South Africa to South Korea and all in between. Even the fucking Afghans who seems to, be fighting against Americans, they still, buy American music hand over fist. In shitholes of Pakistan, you find up-to-date American movies. They love Americans. It's just, they just don't want to deal with, hellfire missiles. It has been your job to inform Americans that everybody across this planet loves Americans, as long as they don't have to be on the receiving end of hellfire missiles. And Americans' perspective would have changed, would have been would not accept George W. Bush's premise that everybody hates our freedom, everybody hates us. No, you see what I'm saying? You, NPR, have not done your job. Americans are not well informed that they are loved across this planet. So a demagogue comes in and, whips up the paranoia, whips up the hatred, and says, no, everybody hates us. And then goes to war because of it. This creation of enemies, most of these enemies that these managers have been creating over the years are fictitious. They keep saying that Iranian regime is they hate us. Oh fucking A. Look at their music, look at their hairstyles, look at their clothing, look at their fashion, look at their music, look at their movies. They're always trying to emulate Americans all over the fucking world. Everybody's trying to emulate Americans. You don't emulate people you hate. It's crazy. But you have not informed them, Americans, that they're loved across the planet. So you have this situation in which there are these people who are loved across the planet, and everybody's trying to emulate them. But then the people who come to power, they need to spend some money on arms, sell arms and use arms, make some money for their friends in the arms industry. They come up and they start screaming at the top of their lungs that they hate us. And because the public is not informed well by you, the public buys it. Oh, I guess they hate us. Let's go fight them. It's really simple, folks. You're not doing your job at NPR, at PBS. The whole idea of the richest country in the world, the public news network of the richest country in the world, begging for money every 3 months or so, and hey, public, please give us a little money so we can run this shit. Please give us some money. Please, we need it. We need to pay our people. Please. I'm sorry, never heard the military coming and asking for $5 donations. How is it that the military is so well funded, but the eyes and the ears of the public are underfunded? So you have a well-funded gun to shoot, but you're deaf and blind. This is how I'm saying. Forgive me, Uncle Sam, but this is what I'm saying with the managers of Uncle Sam, that they want to have a system, a state in which it's well armed. You got a bazooka in hand, ready to shoot any motherfucker that looks the wrong way. But the people who are handling this bazooka, the public, are deaf and blind because the media is underfunded. NPR and PBS is underfunded. So this is what happens with Iraq, with Vietnam, with Libya, with, everywhere else, that you have this, a powerful, well-armed, blind guy who keeps shooting at wrong targets or made up foes. Because the public, you cannot see. The public is not well informed by you guys. It's like a public that is deaf and blind, but well armed. So, and you wonder why so many, unnecessary wars? Because, the paranoia is whipped up in this public, and the public is, deaf and blind because the media doesn't work, because the media is underfunded, but the same public is well armed. The military is well armed. The most sophisticated weapons you can think of. But deaf and blind. The public is deaf and blind. So these missiles are fired at what happens when a deaf and a blind person, a person who's deaf and blind, starts shooting with a very sophisticated weapon. Doesn't matter how sophisticated the weapon is, if the shooter is deaf and blind, it's gonna hit the wrong target or just, cause a lot of suffering, unnecessary suffering. It's just, I can't put it any more simpler than that. A public which is deaf and blind, that is not well informed, but well armed, this is the result. You can see it. It's unacceptable that the politicians are not, they should be funding. I mean, before having a gun, a person should work on having good eyesight and good hearing before arming a person. It's sort of like, okay, let's work on your eyes and let's work on your ears and let's get them going before we give you a gun. Because, without good eyesight and good hearing, having a gun is very dangerous. So because when you get the eyesight and good eyesight and good hearing, but the public has a good media at their disposal to inform them well, then a lot of times gun becomes unnecessary. Case in point, when the when the Americans realize how loved they are across the planet, even in shitholes like Pakistan and shitholes like, Libya, when the American public know that, understand, and hear that they are emulated around the planet because they're loved, then, a lot of times, most of the time, 99% of the time, it just, guns becomes unnecessary. I don't understand that. How is it How can the politicians sleep well at night thinking that they are not helping public with their eyesight and the hearing? That is, they're not funding the news organizations such as NPR and PBS to have at least one well-staffed office in every capital city of the world, but they are funding arms manufacturing and arms research. It just doesn't make sense. Giving sophisticated weapons to deaf and blind people, it's very dangerous, as you can see.